Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready for love today.
Welcome, everybody, to the SleeperWaiver show. It is Tuesday. I am your host, Showtime George. With me, as always, I've got Steve Spack, a.k.a. Stevie Stacks. And I also have the Hot Pocket Slayer himself, Mike Dirty Jobs. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
Doing good, man. I feel like I have a new nickname every week.
I mean, you do, and rightfully so. I mean, things just happen to pop up around your name. I mean, Hot Pockets. I want some damn Hot Pockets, man.
Hot Pockets.
George lives closer to you. I'm kind of pissed about that because I drive on over and get myself a Hot Pocket.
Right. I always have Hot Pockets, just so you know. Always.
Mike, the Hot Pocket Dirty Jobs.
The Hot Pocket Dirty Jobs. And sorry I'm coming in so dark, Florida light. It'll get better in a second.
that is the truth of Florida. If you don't like the weather, wait a couple minutes. It'll change. It'll change. Don't worry. So before we jump into Tuesday's show, I guess there's rumors that that Dallas is in the market for a quarterback or something happened to the quarterback. I had a really bad dream this weekend. Like it was really, really bad. Like I had a dream that the Dallas Cowboys quarterback broke his ankle and was going to be out the rest of the year. I had a dream that my Miami Dolphins went to the 49ers hometown there in Santa Clara and whooped their ass up and down the field. It was just a whole bunch of stuff I know actually did not happen, supposedly happened. So it was a weird weekend for everything, to be honest. Before we get into the nook and crannies and the meat and potatoes of the show, I'm going to throw it over to Steve because he does the promos 1,000 times better than I do. So, Steve, if you want to take care of the house cleaning right here at the beginning of the show, I'll go ahead and tweet out about the show while you're doing that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And hey, George, just to let you know, all that stuff was reality. Here we are. I'm sad that my 49ers got throttled by your Dolphins. Not happy about it at all. Actually, I almost didn't even want to do the show. I didn't even want to do the show with you today. I really didn't. Really kind of ruined my weekend. But that's cool. You know, we'll go through it. But anyways, so everything that's going on in SleeperWire, tons of good stuff, man. We have go to Patreon/SleeperWire. That is where all of our articles are posted. All of our waiver wire articles went up today. Waiting on still the opportunity report. Our guy Sheehan, who does that one, he's kind of waiting for some stats to update before he really gets into that. But you can utilize that for waivers. You can also utilize that for start and sit. So, but our IDP waivers and our waiver article are up. They've been up for a handful of hours now. Definitely take advantage of those on top of listening to this show. So, while you're at Patreon/SleeperWire, you can see those there. Feel free to look at the different tiers that we have. If you want to donate, great. Anything goes towards charity. So it's not like we're going to be banging a ton of money off of it. We'll still be here doing this, providing you guys a fantasy content. Or you can go to SleeperWire /donate, and then you can find the Patreon icon there that you can select and move forward with that. Also, all of our partnerships, we have our partnership with Pristine Auction. We have our partnership with Thrive Fantasy. Again, with Thrive as daily props. So you, when you put in $20 or more, you get $20 back from Thrive themselves using promo code SLEEPERS. That's SLEEPERS. Screenshot that, send it over to sleeperwire@gmail.com, and you're automatically entered into the listener league for next year. Along with that, we also have our partnership with Ray GQ and Destination Devi. Definitely be involved with Ray. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. He gives you a lot of good insight in the Devi world and Dynasty, so on and so forth. So make sure you're following those guys and make sure you're looking at his content as well. We also have the SleeperWire store, a lot of good merch. It's getting cold out up here in Michigan. I don't know how it is down in Florida or everywhere else for the most part, but it's starting.
I'm in shorts.
Yeah, it's gonna suck up here, man. So we got some good hoodies and whatnot for you guys, or if you're down in Florida or Texas or whatever, we got some gear for you guys as well. So go check all that stuff out. On top of all of that, I'm trying to think of what I'm missing right now. We got the articles covered, we got our partnerships covered, we got our store covered. I think we're covered.
We're covered. Yeah, you asked about the weather, man. The weather down here in Florida is horrible. Like, I'm not even wearing pants right now. I'm up here freezing, man. I'm up here freezing. It's just I don't like you even more today, George, man. Your Dolphins beat my Niners. Now you're talking about just sitting there with no pants on. I like pants optional. It's cold up here, so I gotta wear pants. But anyways, kind of a quiet week as far as injuries go, man, and not too much with the COVID world. Thankfully, we finally had a calm week. Now, George, take us away. Let's dive into some of this stuff, man. All right. So I want to do the same format that we did last week. I'm going to throw some players at you. You tell me if they're drop worthy or not. Of course, this is always going to be 12-team leagues. We don't cater to 8 and 10. There's nothing wrong with 8 and 10 team leagues, but for the most part, we're focusing mostly on 12-team PPR leagues. And I know they play tonight, so we haven't really seen him perform yet. But let's run through some running backs here. Zach Moss, are you? I know I asked you about him last week. Are you still on the train that you can drop Zach Moss?
Yeah, and he's not even active tonight in this game either. So, I mean, yeah, you could definitely move on from Zach Moss. I'm not worried about him at this point.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Worried about him getting COVID. So I'm still holding on to him. I just think they're trying to protect their assets. No, I as much as I want to see Zach Moss do something in this backfield, I don't know if it's going to happen. It seems like Devin Singletary's handling quite the workload, and he's doing fine with it.
Yeah.
You know what's weird, guys? Have you noticed the last couple of weeks that guys have popped up with an illness? Nobody really, not that they ever really specify an illness or something like that, but it seems like it's happened a little bit more than normal. Just seems odd.
Illness.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're just calling it like an illness until they have results back, and then they'll say it's COVID or not or whatever. Kind of like how most situations that are being handled now, if you got a runny nose or a cough, you got to go get tested. I wonder if it's anything of that nature.
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good thought. I would like to think that if it's something COVID related, they would just come out and call it COVID. But I mean, I'm not going to put it past the NFL to not call it COVID. Like, they want to do everything they can to get these games played. There's way too much money involved,
right?
Way too many sponsorships, way too much money in their TV contracts. So, let's stop pretending the NFL cares about player safety. They don't. They care about the bottom line. I've been saying this for weeks now, and if anybody thinks otherwise, you are a fool. You are 100% a fool if you think the NFL truly deep down cares about player safety. They don't. They care about the bottom dollar. It is a business to them. That's all they care about.
But George,
what a fool! Stay in school.
I'm sorry, Mike. What was that?
They even have an association called NFL Cares. Why would they have that if they don't care?
Well, I mean, China is called the People's Republic of China, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually the People's Republic of China, right?
Good answer. Good answer.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Touche.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Hey, there, lights are on.
How about Benny Snell? Are you guys ready to drop Benny Snell?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was ready to drop Benny Snell before it was popular. So hey, I can tell you I don't have any shares of that guy. I think maybe one or two actually, but I didn't have one running back.
How about Naheem Hines?
Yep, he's on my drop list on a few teams tonight.
PPR, I think I'm still going to hold on to him. PPR, if you have, we'll say, deeper benches, in PPR formats, I'll hold on to him still.
All right, and the last one I want to ask about here is Jamal Williams for the Packers.
I'm going to give you the same answer on that one.
I feel like Jamal Williams I'm a little bit more higher on than any of the guys that you talked about. I think I might hold on to him.
Okay. All right, let's move over to the wide receivers. And for those at home, the reason why we're discussing the players you can drop is because clearly when we go into the players we want you to add, you have to make room for these guys. So these are guys we're suggesting you either A, can drop, or B, hold. Ultimately, the decision is going to be yours. But these are some guys that we think are on the bottom of the bench that are kind of bench bubbles that, if you need to drop somebody, absolutely drop these guys if you need to. How about MVS for the Packers?
No way.
Drop him,
I
or you
think
hold him?
I'm holding on to him. I think once Devontae Adams gets on the field, he kind of usurps that 2 role back again. So,
I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, with Adams coming back, him being the wide receiver too. I mean, yeah, if you need a wide receiver, I'd hold on to him. But I'm still big on Lazard, and he's supposed to come back this year. We'll see though, because I mean, it is a core muscle injury that he ended up getting. But if he comes back and he's healthy, I'm still bigger on Lazard than MVS. But for time being, sure.
yeah, same here. I like Lazard a whole lot more, but
I just MVS. I just don't trust him with the drops. But having Adams back definitely helps.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, having the wide receiver across from the caliber of Devontae Adams helps anybody.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
How about Sterling Shepard for the mighty New York Giants?
Nope. Cut him.
Cut him. Mike?
Yeah, I think I'm cutting him.
Dude's never healthy.
No, he's
good player, but never healthy.
Concussion. Yeah.
How about Hunter Renfrow?
With Ruggs back, I think I'm going to, after what we saw. And, at one point in the game Sunday, I did see him go off field. I don't know if he got banged up or ever really returned. I was kind of flipping back and forth a little bit, and I didn't see much of Renfrow after that, and I haven't really seen any injury report. But with Ruggs in the lineup and really a guy that's been kind of a surprise the last couple of weeks with deep shots, it's been Nelson Aguilar too.
Yeah.
And then you have Jalen Richard involved. You have Devontae Booker involved. As far as the passing game goes, you still have Darren Waller. So, yeah, I think I'd probably drop Renfrow.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I wouldn't be reluctant to cut Hunter Renfrow, not at all. How about Russell Gage for the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, as much as I was a little higher on him, I think I'd cut him too at this point in time. I mean, not having Julio around, you would think would have given him more opportunities or whatever, but he seems to play better with Julio, and who knows when Julio is going to come back. So if you need help at other positions, and there's players that we're going to talk about that you can add, I wouldn't have a problem cutting Russell Gage in any format.
Yep, that's another guy I'm happy with getting out of.
How about Traquan Smith?
Hey, as long as Michael Thomas keeps punching teammates, I mean, he's going to get reps. So
fair enough. There.
All right. How about Greg Ward from Philadelphia?
I don't like him as much as I like Fulgham, so I think I'm good with dropping him.
Yeah, Fulgham was kind of a surprise this week. I expected Ward to do well, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'd still cut him. I don't know how I feel about chasing Fulgham in it, but even before last week, Ward's had opportunities and he never did put up a performance like that. And that Philadelphia team is just dreadful right now. So yeah, I'd probably cut Ward.
All right. I agree as well. Like I said, these are guys we're not saying go out there and to 100% just cut, but if you need to make space, these are definitely guys you can get rid of.
Yeah, if you have a tough call between one of these guys and somebody else, then yeah.
Here's somebody who I got to watch play a little bit on Sunday, and it looks like he's getting a little bit more involved in the offense now. But I want to know if you guys – we're moving over to tight ends, by the way. How about Austin Hooper? Are you guys going to cut bait on Austin Hooper?
I've been out on Hooper since the minute he left Atlanta and signed with Cleveland. I wanted no part of him. And actually – in a couple of my dynasty leagues, I traded him towards the end of the season last year for some draft capital and ended up flipping that into some other players, obviously. But yeah, the minute he left, I was like, oh, thank goodness I actually moved him. I probably still would have been able to sell him high because, they signed him to that big contract, and obviously Njoku really wasn't doing too much. But yeah, I mean, just since he went into that system and what he was really going to be used for, I've been out on him.
How about you, Mike? Are you ready to cut bait with Austin Hooper?
I mean, I am. I don't really. I feel like I felt the same way Steve has. Like this whole time, I feel like it just hasn't been there for me or anything like that. Like, I mean, once he got out of there, I'm like, gosh, I like what I see out of Cleveland, but I don't really like what I see out of, like, say, David Njoku, right? So, like, David Njoku's out here doing this or that, and I liked him a lot, and I just really didn't like the production I got out of him. So I was kind of the same. I really didn't like where I was sitting with Austin Hooper either. And so, yeah, I think I'm out. I think I'm definitely out on him too as well. So dropping him seems a bit much, but man, we got to drop him, right?
How about Eric Ebron for the Steelers there?
I'm not, just because the touchdown upside for him. I mean, we have 4 teams on a bye this week. We had one game canceled last week or postponed or whatever. We're going to be running into the thick of stuff, and you could use that same point to Austin Hooper. However, Cleveland, they're run first offense, and that's what they're going to do. I mean, a lot of it depends on game script, so on and so forth, but they're going to run the ball, and I don't know. I feel like there's more opportunity for Eric Ebron to see targets in the red zone than there is for Austin Hooper.
So you mentioned the bye weeks. I know the NFL has shuffled the schedule around a little bit. I know New England was supposed to be on a bye week 6. Now they're not on a bye week. I think they're supposed to be playing the Bills. Who all do we have on bye weeks this week? I know New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Seattle Seahawks. I know for a fact those 3 teams are on bye, but is Miami on a bye this week?
Honestly, I don't know because everything is all shuffled around now. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Like, I was just thinking that same thing. I'm like, man, with everything
look it up right now, actually, while we're talking about this.
Right.
Yeah. Cause I feel like it's been difficult to follow along and figure out what teams are actually on a bye week this week, because this schedule has been so shuffled.
So it's right the now, Raiders, the Patriots, the Saints, and the Seahawks.
Right.
But the Patriots are playing the Bills this week because they moved the Bills Patriots game.
The Patriots have already had their bye week.
Yeah, they had bye week last week.
When are they playing? Weren't they supposed to play on Thursday? Weren't they?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. So because there's no Thursday night football this week.
Right. Yep. I think they were supposed to play on this week, and that's give Buffalo a 2-day turnaround to face the Patriots. That'd be fair.
For all the talk that the NFL absolutely hates the New England Patriots, it seems like they're doing them a lot of favors. Here, you get to play the best team in your division on 2 days rest.
Right, exactly. Yeah, not happening.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure what the bye week is. Like I said, it was supposed to be New England this week. They were on a bye week last week. I think they shuffled it around. I think Miami's on a bye this week, which is fine with me. And I think we get the Bills week 11, which was originally our bye week, because I know Miami and Buffalo were both on a bye week 11. So it makes sense for us both to have a bye week or play on that bye week. So I don't know. It's the NFL. What are you going to do? They're just shuffling everything up over here. So let's move to a couple of quarterbacks real quick. I want to go over, and then we'll get into a little bit of news, and then we'll do the meat and potatoes of the show of the guys you should add. Carson Wentz, you guys ready to cut bait?
Yes.
And for the record, this is single quarterback league. We're not talking superflex.
Yes, then. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. No. In a superflex, you're not dropping any quarterbacks.
I guess no, I'm not. He's just too productive fantasy wise. So no, I like him still.
All right.
I shouldn't.
And we haven't seen him play tonight, but how about Ryan Tannehill? I don't think I'm ready to cut bait with him. Not
No,
in a
I'm
single
still
quarterback
holding
league.
on to him, and he's somebody that could be out on your waiver wire too, right? Easily could be out there.
In a 16-team league, single quarterback, somebody dropped him for his bye week last week, and I scooped him up and put him on the bench.
Yep.
And now that Dak Prescott's hurt, he was the only quarterback on that guy's team. So I'm going to be approaching him tonight about trying to possibly trade one of my bench quarterbacks, which would be Big Ben or Ryan Tannehill, for like a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. So,
and this is where you have to get ahead, everybody. Like whether it's your quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back, blah 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 blah. You look at guys that are going to be on a bye week this week, and then you look at your roster spots, see who you have, see when their bye weeks are. Then you can look at all these different people. If it's somebody that you just want to pick up and stash, you're like, ooh, I like the fact that this guy is out there and I can add him to my roster. Well, let's just say hypothetically you have Tannehill, Derek Carr out on the waiver wire, and you have Lamar Jackson. Well, look when his bye week is, and then go back and look at Tannehill and go back and look at Derek Carr and see who they're playing that week. And then you can scoop one of those guys up. They can kind of hang out on your roster until that bye week because it's all you really need it for. Because unless Lamar Jackson goes out for the year, you're not starting anybody else over him.
Correct. Yeah, pay attention to your matchups. Also pay attention to during the week to see who your league mates are dropping.
Mm-hmm.
They may drop somebody like a Ryan Tannehill, and depending on the league size and the league format, it may become an asset for you right away.
It's better to get players for free. Pay attention to your waiver priorities too. If you're not using Fab, make sure if you're like in a top 3, or even if you have the first priority or whatever, make sure it's a move you absolutely want to do. Make sure it's a move that can provide you long-term value throughout the rest of the season as well.
Yep. How about Kirk Cousins? Are we ready to drop him? Looked good this past week.
Yeah, I'm still going to roster him.
Same here, Mike.
I think I am too. I think I'm there with him too. I think I'll still roster him.
But
I'm not happy about it.
How about Mike? You're never happy about it. How about Daniel Jones? Are we dropping Daniel Jones?
I don't want anything to do with Daniel Jones right now. I don't even think has he even thrown. I think he's thrown 1 touchdown this year. Like he hasn't done anything, man. Like I need to look that up now because I don't think he's maybe thrown 1.
He was a so-called sleeper coming into this year, but man, he's just played atrocious so far.
I wonder if he's gonna create. I wonder if he's gonna have as many turnovers as Winston did by the end of the year.
It's possible. I'll let you look that up while I go on to the next one. Baker Mayfield. Are we ready to drop Baker Mayfield?
No, he dealt it up this weekend, man. I liked it. No way.
Yeah, I'm not out on Baker. Actually, I don't know if you saw what Mark Schofield put out on Twitter earlier today. He looked at a couple different plays that he did a voiceover on, some video that pointed out some really good things about Baker and the progress he's making, the development that he has right now, and you can tell that Stefanski's been working with him. So I just with the amount of talent that's there as far as receiving options and obviously the backfield and even the receiving options out of the backfield, you need to temper your expectations. Like I think everybody should be over the fact that Baker Mayfield is not going to be this, top 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterback that he was, potentially going to be what he was hyped up to be. He's not going to be that guy, but he's a guy that you're going to be able to start. I think, especially when you have tough decisions to make, when you're going through these bye weeks and all that, he's somebody that you're going to be able to start. You kind of know what his floor is now, and you know what the expectation is.
Yep. So just for transparency, as far as Daniel Jones goes, he's got 2 touchdowns on the season.
Week 1 and 5 picks.
5 picks. Yep.
How many fumbles does he have though?
The fumbles, he has 4 fumbles. He's lost 2 of them.
Okay, so that's 7 turnovers and 2 touchdowns in 5 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, give me Joe Flacco.
So let's move into a little bit of the news. and then we'll move right into from there. We'll move right into who you should add. Mike, I'm going to throw this to you first because, well, I just want to throw it to you first. The Jets are trying to trade Le'Veon Bell. A, what do you think about that? And B, where should he land, or what would be his best landing spot as far as fantasy goes?
It's tough to say. I don't think that you're going to see a whole lot of people try to jump on that contract.
Yep.
I think he's like due $6 million this year or something like that.
Yeah, 6 guaranteed.
There are scenarios in which they just eat that contract. I mean, they're going to eat the dead money anyways, right?
Yep.
So a good place I can think of, like off the top of my head, would probably be like, say, Chicago, maybe. Like, I think Chicago would go in there and get somebody with maybe his speed and things like that, and go out there and give him a shot there. Philadelphia, I mean, Miles Sanders has been crushing it, but I mean, really, he's just kind of like that one big play, and then the rest of his game's like 2.5 yards a carry. So for me, I mean, I can see him going to Philly. There's a lot of places where I think he could go fit in. I don't think that you'll really get to see him go into any of these places, though. I don't think that any of these places are desperate enough to pay that kind of money or get involved with the guy in the first place.
Do you think they actually managed to pull off trading him?
I don't. No, I don't.
All right. Steve, same questions to you.
Yeah, I don't see anybody wanting to make the move for him unless they're getting him for free. I mean, realistically, and even to your point, Mike, about going to a team like Philly, he wouldn't be any good there either. I mean, their offensive line is absolutely terrible. Chicago might be a decent landing spot for him. I mean,
that was one of my first spots.
Yeah, like, I mean, 2 decent landing spots for him, but you're looking at rivals there would be either Miami or even New England, but they're not going to either one of those places.
Yeah, so I don't think he'll go to Miami. I don't think Flores will bring him in. I think the culture that Flores is harvesting down there in Miami, Bell's not going to be a part of. A team that I thought would probably be good would be the Cardinals. We've seen Kenyon Drake struggle. You got Chase Edmonds, who they've come out and said, hey, Chase Edmonds can be a starter in this league, but do we actually believe it? I don't. And we've seen them before in the middle of the season, trade for a running back. I think, Arizona makes an intriguing landing spot for Le'Veon Bell. Do I think it happens? No. But I think it would be interesting.
If Chase Edmonds plays a full season last year, I don't think they trade for Kenyon Drake.
I agree.
David Johnson didn't fit the system. There was no way that was going to work. And that's why, Bill O'Brien Bill O'Brien made the move to get himself fired pretty much. But, and that's just, tipping my hat to the Cardinals there. So I honestly think Chase Edmonds can be the guy in that backfield. And if he played a full season last year, that trade doesn't get made. If they really believed in Kenyon Drake, I think they would have invested in him a little bit more long term. I don't know if they're even gonna, put that trade even in the corner of their eye. Like, hey, this is a little intriguing. And, maybe if their running back situation was a little bit different, they might, look into something like that. I think if they're gonna move, I think if the Jets are gonna move Bell, they're gonna have to eat some of that contract in general.
Oh, of course.
And nobody's gonna be willing to give them a lot of draft capital for him either.
No, another team I think would be interesting. Actually, I got 2 more. One, I'm going to say the Seahawks, just because it seems like Pete Carroll can never get enough running backs, right? Like, that dude just wants all the running backs he can get. Run the ball. So
I just see this monster eating all these running backs while raw.
Well, I mean, even think about it too. You could be in situations with a team like that you have, Lockett and DK on the outside. You put Bell and Carson in the backfield. You motion Bell out to the slot and run that. I mean, there's a world that could happen. Do I see him going to Seattle? No. Would it be fun to watch? Oh, hell yeah, it would.
And the other spot we've seen, at the beginning of the year, it wouldn't have made sense. But right now, with Melvin Gordon out of the picture, Austin Eckler on IR, the Chargers.
Yeah. Yeah, he would fit that.
He would fit fantastic in that role. It's got a good offensive line, a pretty good offense all around. I think the Chargers make an interesting spot as well. I do agree with Mike, though. Like, the number one spot I could see him going is Chicago. I think, David Montgomery, for all the hype that he had coming in last year, he's shown he's just a guy. They are a team that is 4-1. So they've got a good record. If they're probably the worst 4-1 team in the history of the NFL, but nonetheless, they are 4-1. If they're going to make a run at the playoffs, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a move for Bell. Do I think it happen again? No, I don't. But it's just,
for me, honestly, though, I don't see Le'Veon Bell really being that much better than what he is now anywhere else he goes.
No, if Pittsburgh took him back, he might fit back into that system just like a glove, but they're never going to do that again. So
no, that bridge is 100% burned.
Yeah,
and pissed on.
Yep.
Yeah.
You burned it. You pissed on it. You shit on it. You done screwed everything up there.
It's still kind of on fire.
The fire will never be put out. Steve, I'm gonna throw this one to you. Talk a little bit about Dak Prescott.
Man, it's really sad. I honestly feel bad for the guy too, because yeah, sure, he signed his tender, and I see people out there like, oh, you can break my ankle for $31 million. Well, sure, but the guy was playing for a long-term contract, and nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. It's luckily his surgery, everything went well from what they're saying, and I want to say I heard about a 6-month recovery time, which I don't know. I feel like it's going to be longer than that. That was pretty gross. That was pretty severe. That thing was clearly broken. It was a compound fracture, so on and so forth. You got
Tony Romo said it was
in there and all that.
Tony Romo said it was a cramp.
Yeah, right. but yeah, it's just it really is a bummer. It's sad to see, because that guy was on one hell of a pace yardage wise this year. But I think it's going to change that offense a little bit. Obviously you're going to see kind of a tick down in the receiving group. I think it's going to impact Dalton Schultz and everything anybody's been thinking about him and so on and so forth. He seemed to like Michael Gallup a little bit, but I guess we'll see what weeks of practice with these guys turns into. I can see a little bit heavier volume with Ezekiel Elliott, the offense kind of going through him more and letting Dalton just kind of manage the game. I'm not sure if that's like going to give you a warm fuzzy feeling as a Cowboy fan, but this is ultimately what you're looking at. And, here in Detroit, everybody here is talking like, oh man, Bob Quinn should just call Jerry Jones. Matthew Stafford's a Texas guy. You could send him down there. You could get picks for him and do that. Like, everybody up here wants Detroit to trade Matthew Stafford, get what they can for him, and then trade Kenny Galladay before the deadline because, his contract's up at the end of the year. So get something for him before they lose him. So, there's even talks like that going on. We'll see. Obviously, the Dak situation is very, very sad, and I think it's going to change the scope of that offense.
Yeah, I think they'll lean a lot more on Zeke going forward. Mike, what are your thoughts about the Dak Prescott injury?
Oh man, God, watching that just it broke your heart. Like, the thing about it is when you see a guy who's passionate about sports like that, and that's what gets me, is he was like genuinely sad he wasn't going to be out there helping his team. I'm sure the ankle touching his kneecap or however that just went down didn't help much as far as the crying factor goes. But man, it sucked. That was really sad to see. I think it's going to be a long road to recovery, but I think, man, it was almost like the Dallas Cowboys saw that coming, because who do you have that's better as a backup in the league than Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton's always been a backup quarterback. It took Cincinnati about 7 years to realize that. But now that he's in a backup capacity, I think that team's just going to keep plugging right along. I think they're not going to really skip a beat. A lot of the same players I'm still liking a lot. So.
Yeah, and that division's dreadful, so they still have
Yeah.
an outside shot to even win the division.
I think they're leading the division.
Yeah, they are actually. But it's like, I mean, talking about seeing it coming, I think literally the Dalton signing was, if they were going to lose out on Dak for the year, if he wasn't going to sign his tender, it was just kind of like a preemptive strike there a little bit. But, now they're probably sitting back like, thinking they're lucky stars.
Thanking God that they have an Andy Dalton as a backup and not a fucking Duck Hodges.
Well, because now they'd be in an absolute panic move.
Correct.
Jerry Jones might be more willing to go out there and throw some draft picks to go get some quarterback. Get Stafford out of Detroit. Maybe go get I don't know, maybe go save Darnold out of the with the Jets or whatever, or go pull Jameis Winston out of New Orleans and let him throw 30 touchdowns and 50 interceptions, but it'll be 30 touchdowns. So
yeah. So another transitioning to another quarterback who made some news this weekend, Dwayne Haskins. Do you guys think that they will actually trade Dwayne Haskins? The Redskins will?
I certainly hope so. I think I would love to see him anywhere else besides there. I think if you give him a better team, a better opportunity comes with it. So, yeah, I think give me Dwayne Haskins anywhere besides the football team.
I hope Dwayne Haskins. If what I'm kind of looking at with Dwayne Haskins right now, and I felt like the writing was on the wall when they signed Kyle Allen, is that whether it was going to be Kyle Allen or it was going to be Dwayne Haskins, these guys were going to be a stopgap. Ron Rivera does not want Dwayne Haskins.
No, he does not.
Fully believe Riverboat Ron does not want him. So if they trade him, I kind of feel like without drafting the quarterback first, this is Josh Rosen all over again. So it's ultimately going to depend on where he lands. Is he going to fit? Because like a guy like Josh Rosen from day one, if he would have been in a situation where he actually had a good offensive line, we probably could have seen a better start from him, and we probably would, be talking about him a little bit more as an NFL quarterback. I feel like Dwayne Haskins is going to be a similar situation, and it's all going to depend on if he gets traded, where he gets traded to, what his situation is going to be.
Yeah, I think they trade him. I don't know what they get for him. I'm thinking maybe a fourth or a fifth, but I don't think they're going to get for sure. They're not getting a first. I don't think they're getting a second or even a third. So if they trade him, it'll be to a team who needs a backup quarterback, and it'll be for a later round pick. Where he's going to go, your guess is as good as mine. I have absolutely no idea where he's going to go.
The way it's been going, I'd offer somebody $10 for him.
Deal. I thought you would say we'd have to pay you $10 to take him. Another injury from this weekend. Dalvin Cook is dealing with an adductor strain. He's already expected to be ruled out for Sunday's game. This brings in Alexander Madison, had 20 carries for 112 yards on Sunday night. What are you guys' thoughts on Dalvin Cook here?
It's for me, it's classic Dalvin Cook. I mean, he played through the season last year. He did get hurt towards the end of the year, but it seems like this guy is hurt every year, whether it's half the season, multiple games, maybe a game, whatever. But this is why they drafted Alexander Madison. I think Alexander Madison could really be a starting running back elsewhere in the NFL right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is why they drafted him, and this is going to be another thing with Madison too. Like, honestly, if you're in deeper leagues, he should already be rostered. Leagues that aren't so deep, chances are he's probably going to be on your waiver wire. But this is what you have to be mindful of in this situation: is if you take on Alexander Madison, you have him this week, you have him the short term. However, if you put him in line with any of these other guys like a Chase Edmonds or something like that, Edmonds for the long term in PPR, his upside there is going to have better season long value. Madison still gets carries, he still gets touches week in and week out, but he really doesn't truly get the volume unless Dalvin goes down. If you look at Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, different situation. Chase Edmonds, I feel he's the guy there. You look at these mixed backfields, there are guys that are still getting touches. Same with Madison. But truly, I mean, he still had what 20 carries after Dalvin left the game on Sunday.
20 carries, 112 yards. I said it when Dalvin Cook first got injured. I tweeted it. Addison's about to become a running back one, and he played like it. Absolutely did.
And this is a hamstring too. Soft tissue, man.
Yeah, it's soft tissues with running backs tend to linger. Same thing with wide receivers, quarterbacks. Soft tissues. We had Dr. Jesse Morse on the podcast on Thursday, and he said like soft tissue issues are worse than anything because not only do they linger, they come back a lot easier. So they're easier to aggravate, easier to re-injure.
Yep.
So let's call them stissues.
Stissues.
We'll cut it all down. Save ourselves some time.
He got the tissue.
He's got tissues.
He's got stissues. A last couple of notes here that I had. The Chiefs are placing fullback Anthony Sherman on the reserve COVID-19 list. It's not because he tested positive. Apparently, he was in contact with somebody who did. So they've got him on the reserve 19 list. And the Falcons plays, and not like the Falcons. I mean, what else could go wrong for them? We'll discuss them more in a second here, but they play second-round rookie defensive tackle Marlon Davidson on the reserve COVID list. He actually did test positive for COVID. So we do have a positive test for him.
More COVID.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. The Falcons are scheduled to play the Vikings in Minnesota. So listen, the way this year has been, I guarantee you're hearing it here on Tuesday. This game will play. It may play next Tuesday, but this game will play because the NFL is not going to cancel this game unless they can reschedule it. Again, they don't care about player safety. They care about the bottom dollar. They are running a business, and they want to play these games for a whole bunch of different reasons. But speaking of the Falcons, they fired Dan Quinn this weekend, and they also fired their general manager. I did a little poll on Twitter. It got a shit ton of votes. It was over 2,000 votes. And I simply asked, who's going to be the next quarterback or the next coach to be fired? Is it going to be Adam Gase? Will it be Matt Patricia, or will it be somebody else? The poll got 2,161 votes. Adam Gase overwhelmingly won the poll at 71.2%. Matt Patricia came in at 21.1%. Somebody else came in at 7.7%. So let me ask you guys this. Do you guys really think Adam Gase will be the next one fired? Will it be Patricia, or will it be somebody else?
I mean, both organizations are a dumpster fire, and their ownership are idiots, in my opinion. I don't think Matt Patricia is going anywhere in season. I don't think Bob Quinn is going anywhere in season. If they decide to do something, it'll be after this year. The Jets, the only thing that kind of gives me the glimmer of hope that they'll remove Adam Gase and relieve him from his duties. I don't wish anybody to lose their job. Okay, I'll start out by saying that. But when you don't perform, you don't deserve your job. So, and Adam Gase has clearly not performed anywhere he has been. But the fact that he's come out and said that, he's even willing to, relieve his duties of calling plays and actually let his OC run the offense and so on and so forth. It's making me think that, maybe if somebody said, hey, you need to figure something out because this isn't working. And if this isn't going to work, then this whole thing isn't going to work. So you need to figure out something.
So here's a little interesting tidbit that, and I want to give the guy credit. His name is The Realist Patrick. He's at Patrick Ferrantz on Twitter. Adam Gase record with the Jets, 7-14. Patricia's, and it seems like he's been there for more than 21 games. Right. It's been 2 really long years, and the Jets have just been atrocious.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago when he
It
was,
seems like it was more than 21 games
when he was bug-eyed during his press conference, and the meme and GIF, the meme in the GIF world took care of that one. That was internet always wins, baby. Yeah, the floating taco was best.
Undefeated, absolutely undefeated.
Or the smelly salts on the sideline too.
Yeah. Patricia's record with the Lions: 10, 25, and 1.
Wow.
But Patricia took over a playoff team when he came in, and they have been garbage ever since.
That's what kills me. So here's what's funny is that clown had the audacity after they lost their last game there.
We can't even get people at SleeperWaiver to get the audacity. This guy's got it.
He came up and said, well, obviously I had a lot of work to do when I came here to Detroit, yada, yada, yada. And then he backpedaled on that comment because that was a post-game comment. And he's been getting torched. I mean, look at what Dan Orlovsky said about him. Terry Bradshaw's been tearing him up lately. Michael Strahan just tore him up. This guy literally took a team that under Caldwell had 2 playoff runs. They made some playoff 2 years, or not 2 years in a row, but they had 2 years where they actually made it. And that wasn't good enough. So we're going to fire this guy and bring this dude in. And it's been nothing but downhill since. So Jim Caldwell right now is the Kermit the Frog meme, sipping on some Lipton tea, kind of sitting back and enjoying the show right now because you fired me for this? Okay, that's cool.
What do you think there, Mike?
About the firings?
Yeah, just about everything. The coaches, the firings.
A long time overdue on a lot of these things. Like, man, poor Julio Jones just never got that full. I guess he got to go to a couple Super Bowls and things like that. I guess the organization wasn't the worst always, but man, I don't know. It's so sad to see so many good players and the talent just be driven down into the ground by these, like, they just try to get all fancy, but you should just be out there playing football, man. And so I like the changes. I think that this will be a big improvement for Atlanta. I think I think the other guy I want to see gone out of that is definitely Matt Patricia. I just can't believe he's still a coach in the NFL. That one's a shocker for me.
Not in Detroit, dude. That's what they do here. That's what they do here.
Right. I'm surprised.
It's the ownership. They're terrible.
Get in there and steal Denver while he's cheap.
I will say this about Adam Gase, and I am by far and away not an Adam Gase fan. Don't like him as a coach. I don't think he was good for Miami, but he did lead 2 really bad Miami teams to the playoffs. People do forget that Miami team that he inherited down there. Ryan Tannehill was in and out of the lineup just constantly, could not stay healthy. But he actually did lead Miami to 2 different playoff appearances. But yeah, he needs to go.
George sticking up for Mitch Trubisky.
No, totally different. Like I still think Mitch Trubisky should be the starting quarterback in Chicago. But there's no way Adam Gase should still be a coach anywhere in the NFL. He needs to go. He absolutely needs to go.
Yep.
Speaking of things that need to go, let's get into the players that need to go onto your team. We will start here clearly we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Given what happened with Dak this weekend, there's going to be a huge need across a lot of leagues for that position. You've got Dak Prescott clearly done with an ankle, probably for the rest of the year. Cam Newton, they're calling an illness, but it's COVID. Jimmy Garoppolo with an ankle. Drew Lock with a shoulder. Baker Mayfield is dealing with some ribs, and not in the good way.
Good.
Yeah, Kyle Allen's got an arm issue. Welcome back, by the way, Alex Smith. I did not realize Alex Smith could bring this country together, but apparently it happened on Sunday.
Dude, how could you not cheer for the guy and his family?
He came into the game, and I mean, my Twitter line feed exploded with people that were just excited to see him in the game and happy. And I ain't gonna lie, when he took his first sack and that guy literally jumped on his back and he was like, Alex Smith was like giving him a piggyback ride before he fell down. I held my breath. I was honestly concerned for that first true hit that he took, but he got right up from it. So
yeah, he's been cleared by several doctors, man.
I'm sure, but I still held my breath.
Man, I'm sure people were digging through the archives on that one, like looking at Theismann's injury and be like, what did we learn from this?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's some guys that are we're gonna go owned in less than 50% of leagues. That if you're desperate for a quarterback, these are guys I have absolutely no problem going out picking up. The number one priority for me as far as quarterbacks go this week, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and it's not just the Miami Dolphin homer in me. The guy has been playing lights out. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I just keep waiting for that disappointing Ryan Fitzpatrick to pop up.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's there. He's hanging out somewhere. He's in the background going, oh, you know what? You all trust me. You all rely on me. I am going to shit the bed the next 4 weeks.
It's like,
so for me, I'm not going for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm going for Andy Dalton. That's the guy.
It's like that shadow of just
this week.
You're going to suck Fitzpatrick is hiding in his beard.
Yep.
So I'm showing this week the Miami Dolphins are playing the New York Jets. Does that change your mind at all?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. I bet you he throws a stinker. I bet you he throws less than 20 this weekend because we're due.
I don't know. I'd still stream him this week, but
this week I would definitely, between all the teams on bye, you got major quarterback injuries with Dalton. You don't know really what's going on in Washington. I don't think anybody's going to be playing Alex Smith this week. Listen, in my opinion, Alex Smith has already won the comeback player of the award of the year. Get out of here with that Big Ben bullshit. It's Alex Smith. They should rename it the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award. My number 2 quarterback for the week to pick up was actually Andy Dalton.
Yeah, and I'm good with the other one for number 2. Like I said, Andy Dalton just has the better opportunity, more weapons. I like it.
I don't know. I'm not big on Andy Dalton, and I'm not even going to go Fitzpatrick 1. I mean, I like his season long. I'm not putting him there. I mean, I do like his streaming option this week, but it's just, it's looming. The bad Fitzpatrick week and then bad Fitzpatrick weeks. It's looming. I mean, given the fact that you still have games against Buffalo, you still have matchups with New England, the Jets I'm not worried about. So you have your division matchups. I'm not big on it. Love him this week though.
Yes, Dalton's got a really nice matchup this week. The team that they play, the Cardinals, they've allowed every quarterback aside from Dwayne Haskins and Joe Flacco to pass for at least 250 and multiple touchdowns. So Dalton is definitely somebody who does have some appeal to start this week for sure. Another one here that's got a great matchup, Kirk Cousins. The Falcons are 32nd against the pass. He's only rostered in 47% of leagues. Atlanta has allowed more than 300 passing yards in every game this season. And opposing quarterback groups have scored at least 2 touchdowns against them this year. So,
and those are all in the third and fourth quarter.
That doesn't matter when. Listen, fantasy –
I'm
for all
saying,
4 quarters.
Every single game they're up like 28-3, and then the other team comes back and beats them.
Mike, why you got to go there with 28-3? You know how many Falcons fans we have watching that right now are just curled up in a ball because you mentioned 28-3?
I love it.
I still might even play Bridgewater at home against Chicago.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's the guy. He's the guy that's going to be out there, and I'm telling you, man. Honestly, even if you don't need a quarterback this week, go look at where Derek Carr's schedule lines up with your starting quarterback schedule, because everybody's going to be running right now this week to the waiver wire to stream Fitzpatrick. Everybody's going to be running to get Andy Dalton. People might be looking at Kirk Cousins. Derek Carr's on a bye. And I mean, he's been playing reasonably well, and he had a great game against the Chiefs.
He's been playing fantastic. He's got 11 touchdowns. He's got nearly 1,500 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 1 interception on the season.
I mean, you can go, if Tannehill's out there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, stream him. He has Houston coming up. So that game could potentially be a shootout if Deshaun Watson and that offense do what they did just this past weekend, which, I don't know if they'll do on the road against the Titans, but I mean, that game could be a shootout. So Tannehill's also an option too. Everybody, honestly, I guarantee their biggest targets this week. The Dak owner is going to be freaking out for Andy Dalton. If not, they're going to be looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yep. So let's move on to the running backs here. Key injuries of note: we got Dalvin Cook is dealing with the groin. We mentioned that earlier. Christian McCaffrey has the ankle. We don't know if he's going to be back this week or not.
I think he's actually not going to.
My teams that I have Mike Davis appreciate that very much. I got Mike Davis for $77 in a 16-team league. He's been He's been crushing it for me. Like the league made fun of me for how much I spent on him after week 1. They're not laughing anymore. I'm 5-0. Like Mike Davis is right into my starting lineup. He's been absolutely crushing it for me. So the longer McCaffrey stays out, the happier I am. I'm just getting more and more return on that investment. I love it. Absolutely love it.
See, I don't see anything official yet because he's eligible to come off of IR, which they did, and they wanted to test his ankle and all that, and they were supposed to release information today. But
yeah, I
haven't seen anything official come through.
Yeah,
that he's going to be back.
I don't think he's going to be back.
Surprised if he does. Yeah, I don't think he'll be back either.
They say it's a 4 to 6 week injury. It's only been 3, so he's not even within that 4 to 6 week range. I honestly, listen. If I'm the Panthers, and I see the way Mike Davis is playing, and let's face it, Mike Davis is not Christian McCaffrey, but let's not pretend that Mike Davis has not been playing just as good as Christian McCaffrey could have been playing. He hasn't gone out there and sucked. He's been a very suitable replacement for McCaffrey. I would hold McCaffrey out until that injury is absolutely 100%. I would not want my franchise running back out there at 80%, 70% of what he was when I'm getting almost the same production from a Mike Davis. Like, I want him to be 100% before he comes in.
But George,
I know.
Weren't you just saying that they had nothing to play for?
They don't. That's another reason why you don't rush him back. That's another reason you don't rush him back. They're not. Listen, they're not going to. You think the Panthers are going to make the playoffs?
I mean, looking at their division, I don't see where they don't have an opportunity to do so.
Right.
I think the 2 best teams in that division are the Saints and the Bucks. And we all know the Bucks were going to start out slow because all the new pieces. And they're dealing with a lot of injuries, but once they get healthy, I think between them and the same thing can be said for the Saints, dealing with a lot of injuries. I think once they get all their pieces back, like those 2 are going to be the clear-cut 1A, 1B in that division.
Yeah, they'll be the 1A, 1B, but I mean, they're. I don't see. I don't know if the Falcons can climb out of this.
0-5, they're done.
If the Buccaneers wide receivers continue to have problems, I can see Carolina running with them in games. To be honest with you, I really do. Bring the Saints to Carolina. I think Carolina has a shot. Drew Brees has always been one to struggle on the road and outdoors. So they have opportunities there. But then on the flip side of all of it, record-wise, you look at the NFC East. It's terrible. I expect Carolina to finish higher than anybody that finishes the bottom 3 of the NFC East.
Did you see that pass from Josh Allen? Sorry.
What's that?
Did you just see that pass from Josh Allen?
No, I don't have it on right now.
I don't
and then you look at the NFC North. Okay, there's Green Bay, Minnesota's going to be a respectable team. But I mean, Chicago, I'm not 100% sold on Chicago. Obviously, I hate the Lions. I just don't like them at all. Then you go out to the West. San Francisco's been struggling. Kyler Murray's been not playing very well, but I think the Cardinals will be there. Seattle is just freaking amazing, right? And then the Rams are a respectable team there. So out of those divisions, I think Carolina has an outside shot to be the 7th or 8th team in the NFC and make it to the playoffs, be a wild card team.
I don't see it. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I don't see it. I
so negative.
Do they have a chance? I know. Listen, it is what it is. I don't think they have a chance. So a couple other key injuries here. We all know about Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, Tevin Coleman. I guess Keyshawn Vaughn and LaShawn McCoy are notable. I don't know why, but they're not. They are. Players on bye. Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Josh Kelly, Justin Jackson, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Booker. Lots of fantasy players right there that you've been relying on week in, week out to help your team. Let's look at some of the guys to add. Guys you want to see if they're available. These guys are owned largely in a lot of leagues, but if they're check your waiver wire for some reason, if they're not, I think these guys are all must-adds. We've talked about them today, last week, the week before. Chase Edmonds, James White, Adrian Peterson, even though he's getting touches, you can add him. Alexander Madison, we just talked about the Dalvin Cook injury. Justin Jackson. Like, if those guys are not – or if those guys are on your waiver, those are a must-add in all leagues. Madison,
Adrian
for
Peterson,
me,
I'm only streaming this week if you're desperate.
Because of bye, well, and because of all those teams on buys, you may be desperate.
Exactly. The matchup is there.
Yep. Adrian Peterson for sure, 100 or not Adrian Peterson. Look what you got me doing here. Alexander Madison for sure is the number one ad of the week. If he's on your waiver, he's a potential top 5 running back this week. If you have the number one ad and he is on waivers, that's who you spend it on. Some of these other guys, we have a little bit more obscure guys. How about J.D. McKissick? You guys have any interest in adding him?
I don't mind him, especially in PPR formats. I mean, the target volume has been there the last couple of weeks. That offense, that offensive line, the offense in general has been brutal. You've been seeing Gibson. You've been seeing McKissick involved. Logan Thomas hasn't been doing anything. Steve Sims is on IR. You basically have Terry McLaurin and 2 running backs. So I have zero problem adding J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, a little thing about McKissick here. He has 13 catches in the last 2 weeks for 86 yards against Baltimore and the Rams, two teams with pretty decent defenses. Baltimore being absolutely fantastic. He on 16 targets, so he's definitely got a role here. They get the Giants this week, who are atrocious on the defense. So, what do you think about J.D. McKissick, Mike? Are you interested in adding him?
I don't mind him, like he said, PPR. That's not a bad ad for me in the PPR league. Outside of that, no, I'm just really like the production just really doesn't seem to be there for that team. I mean, granted, you get the pass catching back from Washington, but I'm trying to fade that whole entire mess right there.
Man, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you were paying attention, Mike. It looked like you were soul gazing into Josh Allen's eyes. Right there.
Hey, buddy. Hey,
Mike has that.
Is multitask with Josh Allen.
Mike has that touchdown pass or that pass Josh Allen made on repeat. He's just sitting there watching it. It's on a loop. It's on over and over and over again.
Touchdown pass from Josh Allen right there.
How about Jamal Williams and Darrell Williams? You guys have any interest in adding either one of those?
Jamal a little bit. I think he's worth the ad in a PPR league. I know I'm not probably going to be playing him this week, but I think he's worth speculative ad. They seem to be using him a little bit more and more.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Darrell Williams, I mean, he's another one that if you're desperate. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't see a lot of volume, but he does see the field. He does see some snaps, and that could be a situation to where if Kansas City gets way out, maybe they utilize him a little bit more.
Yeah, the thing that caught my eye is with Williams is he had a season high 5 targets. And listen, 5 targets is not a ton, but
5
it was
opportunities.
if season high for him against the Vegas last week, if he's going to be more involved in the passing game, I definitely have some interest in the Kansas City running back then. Like, I think that team severely misses
Damian Williams.
Yeah. I think, listen, for all the Clyde Edwards-Helaire RB1 takes that were going on, after the first week with them, like, I think that team severely misses Damian Williams. It's kind of hard to believe, but
yep, it is. Weird as that is to say that out loud, I agree.
He's more familiar with the system, obviously, and that plays a lot into it. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is, far more athletic, and I think he's more of a superior talent. And you give this guy some time in the system, he's going to be very, very good. But that's like the same thing with Jonathan Taylor over in Indianapolis, and he's behind one of the better offensive lines in the league, and he hasn't had, these guys didn't have time. And I think if these guys actually had an off season, we'd be speaking a little bit of a different tune. They'd probably be performing a little bit better, but they just they seem more decisive than what we saw in college. And obviously you're going to see that with the change at the professional level. But I think the thing with Williams to Helaire is just the familiarity with the system. And not only that, I mean, that offense, it's going to run through Patrick Mahomes. It truly is.
Sorry, the evolution of the beards. I just wanted to scratch mine. Paul Overnight's got another beard. Listen, if you make a comment about beards, I will definitely put your comment up here on the screen. Right? It's like it'll happen. It will just happen. Here, you need to find yourself a new girlfriend. That's all I got to say about this.
Oh my!
So let's move on. I got a couple more obscure. I call them obscure running backs. But in PPR leagues, and these are definitely mostly PPR leagues only. Duke Johnson and Devontae Booker. You guys got any interest in either one of them? Adding them, stashing them on the bench?
Not really. I mean, Booker was intriguing me a little bit, but I've been seeing Richard a little bit more involved these last couple weeks. So, I mean, again, those are guys that if you're in deeper leagues and you're hurting for running backs, sure, pick them up.
A guy who I'm higher than on both of those guys is LaMichael Pirine, worth grabbing, stashing. If that Le'Veon Bell trade happens tomorrow, you're going to be pretty glad you got him because he'll probably be the bell cow.
They still have
a couple weeks. They still have a couple weeks to trade him if they're going to.
And they've got
get him now when you can get him free.
Mike forgot that Frank Gore will never die.
Frank Gore won't ever die, but you can tell his production is starting to show his age a little bit. Finally, 617 years later, Frank Gore is finally starting to slow down a little bit.
Frank Gore is Shang Tsung.
Yeah,
but maybe he's just saving his energy for the playoffs. You never know.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's that big playoff push that they're going to have.
The Jets are going to go on that run.
It's going to be, dead arm, Joe Flacco, and Frank Gore taking them to the promised land.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So let's move over to the wide receivers. Couple of injuries of note here. We got Alan Lazard with an abdominal issue. Shocking, Alshon Jeffrey's got a foot issue. Deshaun Jackson, bigger shock, got a hamstring. Henry Ruggs, who looked great, is popping up with a hamstring injury. Sterling Shepard's got a toe. Mike Williams, he looked fantastic. He's listed with a hamstring. Michael Pittman's got a leg. Paris Campbell with a knee. Don't really see anybody else that is of significance. Maybe Jalen Reagor here with a thumb. The guys you have on bye. This is another impressive list. This is a big bye week for a lot of teams. You got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Trey Quinn, Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow, who we talked about. You can cut Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So lots of guys you've been relying on week in, week out here to get you to where you need to be as far as your playoffs, or not playoff standing, but your record standing. Guys, you should see if they're available. If they're available, these guys should be picked up. Henry Ruggs, Laviska Shenault, who we've been hammering the drum for Laviska Shenault, what seems like week in, week out. This dude should be owned in all leagues. He's up to 78%, so I'm happy about that.
We've been talking about him for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think since week 1, to be honest. Like we've been hammering on Shenault for a long time.
Is there another one?
Yep, T. Higgins is another one. He's going to be a second half of the season candidate. I'm telling you. The number one guy is somebody who I believe, Mike, it was you. You were forced to play him, and after the 4th touchdown, you were like, "All right, fine. I'm kind of glad I did." Chase Claypool. Mike, I'll let you start with him. Go ahead and talk a little bit about Chase Claypool here.
The guy's big. He's maybe not the fastest guy out on the field, but boy, when he gets up there, he just grabs the ball and rips it out of the sky. Doesn't really care if there's anybody in his way or not. So I really liked what I saw out of him. He's fat, or not that fast, but he's fast enough. Just everything about the guy looked explosive. The one thing I do feel like is when Deontay Johnson comes back, I feel like he's just not going to be that big of a dude, though. I feel like this might be a one-hit wonder right here.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm necessarily chasing the points. I'm gonna add them without putting a ton of fab towards them. I'm gonna add them without, blowing like a top 3 waiver priority, unless I'm absolutely starving at wide receiver and I'm a contender on top of it. But even when Deontay Johnson comes back, I think everybody can officially put James Washington on the back burner here. I think you could be looking at an option where, you have Claypool on the outside, you have Juju on the outside, and you put Deontay Johnson where he's at his best, and that's in the slot. So,
and then other teams absolute nightmares.
Yeah, and with Deontay Johnson being out, obviously that could be more for Chase Claypool. Juju's the biggest guy here, man. A lot of people are drafting him high to be their wide receiver 1. I think a lot of people are going to be very upset. They're going to be like DJ Moore upset this year in regards to Juju Smith-Schuster. So Chase Claypool, the 4 touchdowns are great. He could have had a 5th one. Do not expect this guy to come out every week or every other week and, put up a touchdown. He's not going to have this kind of performance again. I'll be shocked if he does. But I wouldn't go burning a lot on him chasing those points is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, same here.
Completely agree. Let me just say Pittsburgh has had they've had the best wide receiver scouts in the NFL for the last 20 years. It just seems like whenever they go out and they draft a wide receiver, it's going to be no doubt this dude's going to end up being a stud at some point. And I think the future is bright with Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. I don't know if Juju's going to be long for Pittsburgh. I don't know if they're going to want to have to pay him what they're going to have to pay him to keep him. But with Claypool and with Deontay Johnson, if you're a Steelers fan, your future's bright at that position.
They need to find another quarterback. And I was actually in a couple chats. I didn't even put it out on Twitter, but I just in a couple group chats. I even put out there Sunday. I said, I wonder if Juju's second contract is going to be elsewhere.
I think it will be. I think he's going to demand wide receiver 1 type money, and I don't think he's going to get
like this. I don't know how you're going to demand.
Yeah, it. I don't. Listen, you can demand it all you want. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it paid to you. I think he's going to demand like Amari Cooper kind of money, and I just don't see it.
Right. I've been demanding it since 1998, and they haven't caved, and neither have I. And I'm happy with that.
Another guy that
That's
we got up
hilarious.
here, 40%, 48% rostered, going up against Dallas this week. It's Christian Kirk. The last couple games, he's been playing pretty good. He's got 12 targets for 8 catches and 97 yards and a touchdown over that span against Carolina and the Jets. He's got 2 really good matchups coming up against Dallas and Seattle. Both are weak in the secondary. What do you guys think about Christian Kirk?
So, I mean, I know we talked about last week, and I think I even said to drop Kirk. I still held on to him in my dynasty leagues.
Oh yeah, you're not
just for obvious reasons, but I guess rest of season. If you need wide receiver depth, you could pick it back up. I mean, and like I said, I said I'd drop him last week, but the target volume has been there the last couple weeks, and I was looking at it a little bit more. And not that you can really stop DeAndre Hopkins, but defenses have been shifting a little bit more towards him for obvious reasons. I mean, you should have been from the start because it's DeAndre Hopkins, but we're not really seeing much from Larry Fitzgerald. We're seeing the involvement of Chase Edmonds. Kenyon Drake's still involved. Kenyon Drake's still seeing volume. So the offense has been doing enough, and Kyler Murray has actually looked kind of bad a little bit over these last couple of weeks. But I kind of want to see that evolve some more. Christian Kirk is a dynamic player. He is a guy that can get underneath and get him the ball in space and just let him do his thing. He's also a guy that you can take deep shots with, so on and so forth. So, and I think he's an element of that offense that is needed, and they need to get him more involved. Now, why it hasn't been going on, I don't know. But, looking at the numbers, the target volume has been there for the last couple of weeks, and you can't deny opportunities.
Yep. Speaking of opportunities, Mike, I'm going to throw this one over to you. Next on my list I have here is rostered in 41% of leagues. Preston Williams for the Miami Dolphins. Came out this week. He had 5 targets, 4 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown. We've talked about him the last few weeks. He's been a little bit slow coming back from that ACL injury. It normally takes 10 to 12 months before you're officially 100% healed. And right now he's in that window of 10 to 12 months because I believe he tore it week 8 last year. So he's at like month 11 since the injury. What are your thoughts about Preston Williams? And is he somebody that you want to add and put into your lineup going forward?
I think so. The whole thing about that team is just the quarterback play. I like Preston Williams a lot. I like what he can do out there on the field. I mean, I liked him when he was at CSU. He was the guy who used to play in the same division as the Cowboys. So seeing him out here at the NFL level is cool. It's good. It's fun to watch. I like how how he clicks with Devontae Parker a lot. But like I said, the problem here is I just don't see. I guess actually, no, I do like him. I think if Fitzpatrick stays quarterbacks point forward, I like Preston Williams rest of the season a lot. I think he should be owned.
All right. Steve, next one I got here, I'm going to throw it to you. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth because I have a ton of wide receivers. Like all these guys are guys I really do want on my roster. I just don't have enough room to add them all. And a lot of them are not even on waivers, but they are rostered in under 50% of leagues. So, which kind of surprised me. Like Preston Williams at 41%, Kirk 48%. Chase Claypool, not surprisingly, he's only at 20%. If you're in a league with Dirty Jobs, clearly Dirty Job owns him. But next one, we've been trying to push his number up. I think we've been a little bit successful. N'Keal Harry, he got Denver this week coming off of the bye. Still unclear whether it will be Stidham or if it will be Cam Newton. Hopefully it'll be Cam, but if it's not, I mean, you got to do what you got to do with. If you're New England, you're going to roll out Stidham. Actually, I'm gonna give you a name game here because that'll get us to the next couple of wide receivers. So I feel like they're all in the same tier and the same class for me. N'Keal Harry or Mike Williams?
Damn, that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I think I might go N'Keal Harry.
Mike, how about you?
Mike Williams for me because of Keenan Allen being out. Depending on the severity of his injury, I would say him.
It's not much. They said it was like a spasm or a pinched nerve or something like that
Right,
from the
right.
touchdown catch that he had.
Right. Yeah. See, still, I like that. I like being on the team that's just airing the ball out as much as Herbert is.
But see, my thing with N'Keal Harry though is like, even though there's Julian Edelman and then there's nobody. I mean, N'Keal Harry, his target volume, it's been 6, 12, 4, and 6. So the target volume is there on a weekly basis. And obviously the quarterback situation kind of sucks right now.
Right.
But, with Cam Newton, he's going to throw it to Edelman. He's going to throw it to N'Keal Harry. It's just a matter of
who's to say
not getting
COVID designation doesn't just knock you out for the season? Go ask Raquel Armstead how it's going.
I am still waiting on the police to get back to me. I actually sent a wellness check
APB
up in Jacksonville for Raquel Armstead just to check on him, make sure he's okay.
Nobody told him that he's gonna die. Like, geez.
So here's an interesting stat I wanted to give you guys.
Hold on to a second ago. Yeah. Going back to Preston Williams, keep an eye on Isaiah Ford.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that Dolphins team is not the same as. And listen, I am a Dolphins homer. I completely admit that. But that Dolphins team is not the same Dolphins team from last year. They are significantly better across the board. And as this season progresses, I think they're going to get better. I'm not saying that they're a playoff team. They're not. But they're going to give a lot of teams fits. And I don't mean Fitzpatrick either, although it was a really cool pun. Week in and week out. Like, they're going to be competitive. But here's an interesting stat. We were talking about Mike Williams. Since the start of the 2019 season, the Seahawks are 14-2 in one-score games. Can you guys guess the record for the Chargers in one-score games?
2-14.
Close. Mike?
1-15 then?
You should have went the other way. 13-3 in one-score game.
They've been notorious for it.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like the Seahawks, but the Seahawks actually win. It's been brutal.
It's a difference of Russell Wilson and Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've been absolutely brutal in one-score games. Like, if I was a Chargers fan, like, I'm not a Chargers fan. I feel bad for them. Let's do this. How about N'Keal Harry or Tim Patrick?
Tim Patrick for me.
You're a Broncos homer.
I am.
See, I almost want to say Tim Patrick because I think they're going to be throwing the ball even more. And sure you can say that about Mike Williams and the Chargers, but when the minute that Keenan Allen's there, he's been throwing to Keenan Allen.
Yep.
And Hunter Henry's been a target for him too. And you have these receiving backs. Tim Patrick, on the other hand, Denver's going to be throwing the ball all year. Cortland Sutton's not there. You have obviously Jerry Jeudy's there. Noah Fant, he was banged up a little bit. But I think Tim Patrick season long might have more opportunities. As much as I like N'Keal Harry, I think Tim Patrick could have season long opportunities.
I completely agree. The next guy I actually wanted to get into plays for the Eagles. Had a huge week this week. At Pittsburgh, he got 10 catches, 152 yards, and a touchdown on 13 targets. Travis Fulgham. Steve, why don't you talk a little bit about Travis Fulgham? What do you expect from him going forward? This week he gets Baltimore, so very difficult matchup. But what are we expecting from him? Like, I know he's the hot name on the free agent wire. How much fab would you spend? Would you spend a high priority on him? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, first off, I'd like to say the NFC North didn't want him. He was a 6th-round pick by the Lions. They cut him loose. I believe he signed with the Packers practice squad. Then they cut him loose, and there you go. However, he outplayed Greg Ward. Nobody can stay healthy there. Zach Ertz isn't even really involved.
No, he's injured. I think he's injured.
I mean, Travis Fulgham, I'm going to add him. I think I'll even use a higher waiver priority on him. I think I'll even put 15 to 20% fab on him. He's because here's my thing is that looking at that, obviously Ertz isn't involved. You don't know when you're going to get Goddard back, if you're going to get Goddard back this year. Obviously, when it comes to Deshaun Jackson, when it comes to Alshon Jeffrey, hamstrings, whatever, they're going to play this week, and then they don't. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he was the big body. He was the big body guy that they drafted to be what Travis Fulgham just did, and Travis Fulgham is a big bodied wide receiver.
He is.
So I think that he kind of really elevated himself to a significant role in this offense. Now it's going to be, how is he going to react week in and week out with defenses coming at him? You know what I mean? And obviously as the game went along, because you see him make some plays in double coverage. So I want to see it season long. However, I would rather chase those points than chase Claypool's points. You know what I mean?
More mouths to
feed.
There's more mouths to feed there in Pittsburgh than there is in Philadelphia. Mike, I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you think?
Well, this is a guy who actually I remember talking about with Jake Seeley about 2 years ago when he said, man, if you watch this guy's camp, he goes, you're going to grab this guy on every single dynasty squad that you possibly can.
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
Put him on your dynasty squad, forget about it, right? And so that's what I did in a lot of leagues. So I've been watching this guy for about 2 solid years now. And just like Steve said, nobody wants him. Everybody keeps cutting him. What this guy can do and what his biggest knock on him is he's not that fast. I think he runs a 4.58 40, which to me is pretty damn fast. But not your
compared to me and you, yeah.
But not your traditional 4.44 flat, like some of these guys are getting now. But what this guy can do too, he's just another one of those guys, gets up, rips the ball down. And this isn't just his first big week. Last week he had a pretty damn good week too. He was three targets, 2 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. So this week they had 13 targets, 10 receptions. And really, you don't worry about Juju Smith here. You don't worry about anybody else really on that whole entire team. So Travis Fulgham for me, I'm even going up as high as maybe 55, 60%. We're already at week 5 going into week 6. Yeah, so I'm going to go deep on this guy because I feel like he's going to continue this. There's just no options. There's nobody to throw to over there.
I'm not spending any more than 10%
here's,
of my time on him.
Wow. Not saying that he's going to be any of these guys, but here's a handful of wide receivers that ran a 4.6 plus. Chad Johnson, Anquan Bolden, Chris Carter, Jerry Rice, and Larry Fitzgerald.
I see a bunch of no names.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's move off that. Let's move to some tight ends, and then we'll go ahead and wrap the show up. Injuries of note, as Steve mentioned earlier, Noah Fant's dealing with an ankle. Dallas Goedert, ankle. Moe Cox has got a knee injury. Eifert has an Eifert. I'm just going to start calling him an Eifert when he's on the injury report. Jordan Akins is dealing with concussion.
He has stitches.
He has stitches. On a bye, lots of tight ends you've been relying on. Darren Waller, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, and I don't know if you've been relying on Greg Olsen, but he's on the bye as well. Some of the guys you may want to be adding, especially for this week. I have my number one waiver add is Jimmy Graham. He falls into that touch. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's going to kill you. But let's face it, that's every tight end outside of the top 4 or 5, right? So if they don't get a touchdown, they're probably going to kill you. But he's somebody who I want to put into my lineup if I have one of those guys on a bye. What do you guys think about Jimmy Graham?
He's touchdown dependent, but I like him. And with Foles under center, he's going to look to him.
Yeah, he's got at least 5 targets in 4 of his 5 games. So he's definitely involved in that offense. We've seen Nick Foles play to the tight end before in Philadelphia with Ertz. So it's not like Nick Foles doesn't throw to the tight end. Another one I've got here, Irv Smith. I mean, he's a touchdown. Like all these tight ends are touchdown dependent, right? So
I like Irv Smith. I also like Darren Fells if Jordan Akins is going to be out again.
Yep.
Fells is another good option too. These are all guys I think that you can pick up, put in your lineup, and they score a touchdown. They're going to be, a top 10, 12 tight end, if not more. I mean, realistically, and some of these guys are on a bye, but it's kind of like once you get out of the top 5, 6, 7 guys, there's 10 to 12 of them that you're going to play and potentially get the same results.
Yeah, it's the tight end position. They're so gross. It's just, it is what it is, right? Like, I don't know.
If they get down there outside of that 3 for 33, that's the only thing that separates them. They either get 3.3 points or they get 11. And for some reason, we sit there and talk about how one's way better than the other.
Well, it's like, I mean, even for example, a guy like Gronk, OJ Howard was out. They were without Chris Godwin. Their whole receiving core was banged up. I mean, he saw 6 targets. It didn't look very good, but he saw 6 targets.
Would you rather have Rob Gronkowski or Cameron Brate?
We went through this last week. I said Gronk.
Oh, Rob Gronkowski.
I don't know.
You
said Cameron Brate last week.
Listen,
George did.
He had listen. I did. He had a season high 6 targets. He had 5 catches for 44 yards. He didn't get into the end zone, but I mean, if you're telling me I can get in a PPR league from my tight end 5 catches and 44 yards, that's 9.4 points. If he falls in the end zone, it's a boom week for your tight end position.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to shit on Cameron Brate here. The last tight end I wanted to talk a little bit about was Gerald Everett. Came in, had the best game of the season for him against Washington. 4 catches for 90 yards on 4 targets. It looks like we're back to a committee there for the tight end position in LA. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'm not 100% sold that it's going to be a committee. I also wasn't 100% sold on Tyler Higbee either. What I think is going to happen there is Sean McVay is well aware of what he has in that offense as far as the backfield, his wide receivers, his tight ends, all of that stuff. Everything changed because the first couple of years you had Todd Gurley at Todd Gurley's best and you were grooming Jared Goff. Well, now Todd Gurley is gone. Goff has been under center now a handful of years. You have these pieces that can operate around him, and it's going to be what he's going to draw up week in and week out with the defenses that he's seeing. So it's very hard to trust anybody in that backfield. It's very hard to trust either one of those tight ends. I mean, honestly, unless I'm desperate and I need to play somebody, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are the only one, and Jared Goff. Those are the only 3 guys from that entire offense that I'm willing to start week in and week out because everything else is just going to be a toss-up. I mean, Darrell Henderson had a good week this week. We hyped him up last week. He shit the bed after having a stellar performance the week prior to that.
Yep. So, it's becoming the Patriots backfield there in Los Angeles. Any given week, one of those guys is going to go
But I'm
off.
not going to trust those tight ends either.
Yeah. If you're in a pinch, I don't mind it, but yeah, definitely disappoint with the performance of Higbee so far and his usage. And now with Gerald Everett getting back in there, it's a mess. Not something I definitely want to trust. In a pinch, maybe, but not something I want to rely on. Like, I think I would prefer Jimmy Graham over Everett and Higbee right now.
Probably.
I think Higbee shows back up. I think he makes another appearance. I think we see him another second half of the season. Like, maybe not like we did last year, but I think we see some production out of the guy.
All right. So, lastly, real quick, we're not going to do a deep dive on these. Just a couple of positions, defensive positions you could pick up and stream this week. You've got the Packers at Tampa Bay. I don't think that's a bad matchup for the Packers defense. You got the Dolphins at the New York Giants, the New York Jets. Again, I don't think that's a terrible matchup. I don't really recommend streaming the Dolphins defense, but in a matchup like this, it's a really good one for them. So you could probably get away with using them this week. I also have on here the Giants versus Washington. I don't know what they're going to be doing with that quarterback situation. So while I'm not enamored with the Giants defense, it's kind of like the Dolphins defense in a pinch. In case of emergency break glass only, you could go with the Giants defense. A couple kickers that Mike submitted to me to stream this week, because we all know Mike is our kicker guru. He says you should go out and start Mason Crosby at Tampa Bay. He said he's not over the Young Ho. So he says Young Ho Koo at Minnesota is a good play this week. And Matt Prater at Jacksonville is also a good play. So those are coming straight from our kicker guru himself. Go get you some Ho, go get you some Crosby, go get you some Koo and Prater, and put them in your lineup. Gentlemen, is there anything else you guys would like to add, or are we ready to go?
If you can, try to trade a Young Ho for Mo Cox, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right
yes, I agree.
Right on. Or Mo Cox for some Young Ho. I should go the other way.
Try to trade some Cox for some Ho. Definitely do it that way.
No, the only thing I really want to add is just, obviously, you see our handles there at the bottom. If you're following along with us tonight live, thank you for tuning in. But mine is at Aspect21, George BFTG Pod. Mike is at Dirty Jaws 21. You can follow SleeperWire at SleeperWire Show. On top of all that, again, shout out to the writers. You guys are doing awesome. Keep it going. And, just the other shows that we have going on weekly. If you tuned in last night, you had the watch party. Obviously there's us tonight. You got the mail sack on Wednesday. Chris had his great debate with Jordan Richards. There's the Friday AMAs. That's always a good time. You have the Sunday morning blitz. So everything that I talked about at the beginning of the episode, you have all those shows, just constant content. Tuesdays are jam-packed because of all the waiver stuff, the different articles, so on and so forth, along with this show. So look forward to the streamers this week. You're going to have the start sits coming up here too. So a lot of big stuff. Make sure you stay tuned with all of it.
Also, follow along on Twitch, on YouTube, on the Periscope. Go to those places, hit the subscribe button, hit the alerts. This way every time we go live. The SleeperWire Show is seriously live 4 to 5 times a week. Nobody gives you as much live content as we do. Nobody is as interactive as the SleeperWire Show is. So follow along, get your information, get it, as it's breaking, and tune in tomorrow to the mail sack. Until next time, have a good night.
Peace.